Welcome to the second series of the stories behind the songs with Dave Kittle. Back in 1979, Dave began a radio career at CHEZ 106 in Ottawa, which spanned 17 years. He was one of the on-air voices that I grew up listening to, and he introduced me to new music that literally changed my life. His knowledge and passion for music are inspiring, to say the least. And in this 12-part podcast, Dave talks about 8 of his favorite songs and the history of how those songs came to be. So pull up a chair and join us for the stories behind the songs.
Let's talk about Won't Get Fooled Again by The Who.
Sounds good.
From their landmark 1972 album, Who's Next? The greatest album they ever made and one of the greatest albums in rock and roll history, which originally started as a rock opera based on the teachings of a religious guru that Pete Townsend followed called Meyer Baba.
Okay.
And the rock opera was originally going to be called Lifehouse, excuse me. Now, unfortunately, the project got shelved but because it just wasn't working for the rest of the band, and they decided that they wanted to make a regular album as opposed to a rock opera like Tommy was, and like Quadrophenia, which came after Who's Next, would become. But Who's Next was the album that came after Tommy, which was a massive hit for the Who. Got them out of debt, because prior to that they had incurred all kinds of debt because they smashed so many instruments and destroyed so much stuff that they never made any money.
Really?
They never made any money until Tommy came out in 1969. And so when the idea for Lifehouse got scrapped, Townsend took a number of songs, including Baba O'Reilly, Going Mobile, Bargain, Behind Blue Eyes, all of which appeared on the album Who's Next, and made a proper album, and released it in, it was recorded in the early 70s. The first version of Won't Get Fooled Again was recorded in New York City at the record plant with Al Cooper on organ, and former Mountain guitarist Leslie West helping out. But that version got scrapped, and then the version that we know, which features that synthesized organ part, which pretty well dominates the song, which was included in Pete Townsend's original demo, was re-recorded in England with producer Glyn Johns at Mick Jagger's country home Stargroves, with the Rolling Stones mobile unit, which was a mobile recording studio that the Rolling Stones owned back in the day, and people would hire, and it was basically in the back of a big 18-wheel truck.
Yeah.
And it was driven to various locations. The Led Zeppelin used it, later on used it on some of their stuff, which they recorded in an old mansion in England, and the Who used it to record "Won't Get Fooled Again" at Mick Jagger's home in England.
Wow!
And it ended up on the album Who's Next, which came out in August 1971, and was released as a single. Edited, as was a song that we talked about earlier, Light My Fire, was edited down from its original length of 7 minutes plus to about 4 minutes, and was released as a single, and made it to number 15 in the Billboard charts, and became a concert staple for the rest of the band's career.
Yeah, 100%. Wow.
But great album, Who's Next? One of the great albums of all time by one of the great bands of all time, The Who. Very interesting group, 4 musicians: Keith Moon, John Entwistle, Roger Daltrey, and Pete Townsend, of course. The interesting thing about The Who was a lot of people mistakenly lump The Who into the original British Invasion, but The Who really didn't make any inroads in North America till 1967 in the song I Can See for Miles. So the British Invasion was pretty well done by The Who by the time The Who arrived on the shores of North American shores with I Can See for Miles in 1967. And then the album that really put them over the top was the rock opera Tommy in 1969.
Oh, yeah.
And
I was 6 years old when that came out.
yeah, 1969.
Son of a gun.
Yeah. But the Who were a great band, of course. Very, very unique because it was almost like the Who were 4 individual musicians playing 4 individual and different parts in every song. But for some reason it worked.
Yeah.
So Keith Moon would be playing something that was so completely different from what the other guys were playing.
Yeah, yeah.
Especially a lot when they played live. But for some reason it
just worked.
It just worked.
Yeah. So they were that good, and that's. I mean, they at least had the core of the song at the heart of what they were doing. But yeah, I can see that working.
Yeah, great band,
Crazy.
still around.
Yeah. What are they? They're not.
Well,
what
actually,
are they doing?
I just read something the other day that Townsend and Daltrey, the 2 surviving members of the band, are apparently going to go out on the road again.
Seriously,
They're going to tour. They're going to tour again.
So they'll put some kind of version of the Who together
Yeah.
as the Who, or just Daltrey?
Oh yeah,
and
as the Who.
Okay.
Well, they've been doing it for years. They've been touring for years with Ringo Starr's son Zach on drums.
Okay.
And Pino Palladino on bass.
Love Pino Palladino.
And Pete Townsend's younger brother Simon on second guitar.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, they've been going out. They've gone out several times in the last number of years as the Who.
That would be good to see.
I saw them actually in Ottawa about I don't know, a couple of years ago, 2 or 3 years ago.
Okay, you did. Okay.
Yeah, and they were actually very good.
Yeah.
They were very good. Roger Daltrey's voice is not like it used to be.
But understandable though. How old is Roger Daltrey right now?
Maybe in his mid-70s now.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean the pipes they're going to wear out as time goes by, right?
But he can still deliver.
Yeah.
He just can't. He doesn't have as powerful voice as he used to. But they're still going. They're still around. And I mean, what else are they going to do, eh? You know,
this was their life.
This is what they do.
This was their life. Yeah.
It's like the Stones are going out on the road again. Why not? If they can still get up there and do it, why not?
Exactly.
Ringo Starr and his all-star band, he's on the road all the time.
Yeah. I would
Paul
love
McCartney's
to see
on the
Ringo
road all the
Starr.
time. Paul McCartney's on the road all the time. What are these guys going to do?
Well, this is what they do.
You know,
I know.
sit around and
Makes
twiddle
sense
their
to me.
thumbs?
Yeah.
They're
Maybe
musicians.
try stamp collecting.
Maybe.
Can you imagine going from, and let's go to the extreme. So you're what's his name from Keith Richards.
Yeah.
You're Keith Richards, and you know you've gone through this lifetime of everything you could possibly imagine, and then one day going, I think I want to try stamp collecting. Can you imagine?
I don't care about your philanthropy, Keith. What's in it for me?
Can you imagine? Though, you're going from that, to pasting stamps into an album. I mean, that is probably the most opposite thing I can think of right now.
Mm-hmm.
Rock and roll star to stamp collector, or a philatelist, I believe.
Philatelist, yes.
Is it a philatelist or philat? No, it's a philat. Yeah, it is a philatelist.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what they call
think
it.
I'm pretty
stamp collector.
Yeah, that's not a dirty thing, by the way.
No, it's not. No, it's not. But no, you're right. I mean, what are these guys going to do? They're all of these guys now are in their, most of them are in their late 60s, early 70s, early to mid 70s. You've got all the money in the world. You don't need the money. You don't need the fame and recognition, but these guys are musicians.
Yeah.
Muddy Waters played until he died. B.B. King played until he died. The list goes on and on and on. Chuck Berry played into his 90s.
Excuse me. Yeah.
He's still out on the road.
Wow.
What are you guys going to do? Are they going to sit back in their mansions and twiddle their thumbs all day? That's what they do. They play.
I guess what's weird, Dave, is that in the corporate world or in the retail world or in the service industry, when you have a job, right? You work a job for most of your life, and then there comes a point in which you retire. Mm-hmm. Not so much for the arts, right? Because you've got actors, musicians. Yeah. It's they love what they do, and it is all what they do.
Well, I was just going to say, most people don't like what they do for a living.
That's right.
The
majority don't.
They don't like what they do for a living. They would not do it if they weren't getting paid for it.
Exactly.
So when it comes time to retire, The last thing they want to do is keep doing what they were doing. When
yeah.
they get to the point in their lives where they can afford to not have to do that anymore,
Yeah.
they don't.
Yeah.
But as you say, most artistic people are doing it because this is what they love to do.
Yeah.
And if they can continue to do it,
Yeah.
and especially with these guys, I mean, these guys are touring first class. They're not driving around in the back of a van anymore.
No,
they're traveling.
They get to sit up front.
That's right. They get to sit up front where the drinks are free, and you get a little bit more leg room. And you know, they're traveling first class.
Yeah.
They're being well treated. They're not playing every night. They're playing every second or third night.
And they love it. And they
love
what
it.
do. Yeah.
And they love what they do.
Yep.
I'd be doing the same thing if I was in their position.
Yep.
You know, I'd be doing the same thing. So, you know, God bless them.
Yeah.
God bless them. If they can still get out there and do it, why not?
It's all about the music, man.
It is at this point. It's all about the music.
Yeah.
You know, so you get Ringo starring his all-star band. Ringo gets up there. He does a couple of songs a night. His band does a couple of things. The crowd loves him. They have a good time.
Yeah.
And they move on to the next city. You know, so why not?
Yeah.
You've been listening to the stories behind the songs with Dave Kittle. Join us again for the next part in this series. Brought to you by Sunholes Music. Download the latest album now at sunholes.com.